Botox Dysport and Xeomin. These are the 3 brands of botulinum toxin that are approved in the United States for cosmetic use. So all 3 products, Botox, Dysport, and Xeomin, are forms of botulinum toxin. Now botulinum toxin is the same substance that's found in botulism food poisoning. The reason that food poisoning botulism is dangerous is because if you got a massive dose of the toxin, then it would weaken all the muscles in your body, including the muscles that you use to breathe. So that's why botulism is dangerous. Now, when we use it for cosmetic use in the form of these products that are FDA approved, the amount that we use is so small that, and we're also precisely targeting the muscles that we're trying to immobilize. So risks of serious complications like breathing and things like that are really not that much of a concern for cosmetic use because the amount that we're using is so small. So realistically, what you should be aware is that the anytime you use a needle, you could get bruising, you could get swelling, and those are things that will happen from time to time if you're getting the treatments regularly. The other thing that can happen is that you can have a droop. Okay, so because it weakens the muscles, sometimes when we use it to treat like the forehead and off-label area like the forehead, these muscles hold your brow up. So you have to be very careful when treating this area, because if you do too much, this will go down like that and give you a droopy eyelid or heavy brow, and that's not something that we want. The other things that can happen if we're treating areas like under the eye, if we're doing too much, sometimes you could have trouble closing the eyes, and unevenness and things like that. So that's why it's very important that you need to go to someone who's really experienced and knows what they're doing when they inject you, because when you're getting these injections, although these things are not life-threatening, you want to look good, and that's the reason you're getting the treatment. You're not getting it to look worse. So it does make real common sense to go to someone who is experienced. Now, the other things that are much less common but can happen is sometimes you can get headaches, and we find that typically the headaches occur the first time, and then at subsequent treatments most people don't experience the headaches, although some people do experience a headache for a day or two after each treatment. But that's something that most people are fine with. Other things that could happen, also rare, are you could experience some blurred vision or even double vision, and that occurs because if it affects the muscles that you use to focus or move your eyes, it could affect your vision in that way. And again, that would occur if you're using larger doses, and also if it's injected correctly. Although it's not impossible, it would be extremely rare to experience those type of side effects, and those side effects are all temporary as well. When the product wears off in a few months, all those issues will resolve as well. And the effects of the product usually last about 3 or 4 months, depending on how much you put in. So if it's more concentrated, it could actually last even longer, but we're also having higher risk of complications with higher doses. So what else? Allergic reactions. You could be allergic to anything. So any new food that you eat, there's always a possibility of an allergic reaction. A serious allergic reaction like an anaphylactic reaction would happen right away. So it would so if you're in a doctor's office, the doctor should be able to deal with that right away. And again, this is something extremely rare, but it should be you should be aware of that, and that's why we don't really recommend doing Botox parties in somebody's home or somewhere where it's not a medical setting, because although rare, if something like that happens, you want to be prepared, and you want the person who's injecting you to know how to deal with those situations as well as how to inject the product itself. So those are the things that you really need to be aware of. It certainly doesn't encompass all possible reactions, but it pretty much covers most of the things that you should know. Because this is a cosmetic treatment, our threshold is much lower. When you go to your doctor and the doctor gives you an antibiotic, they typically won't run down the list of all the possible side effects that occur, because you need it. If they're prescribing you the antibiotic, it's usually because you need it to cure an infection or something like that. So, but because this is a cosmetic treatment and you don't really have to have it, our threshold for any kind of bad reaction is much lower. So again, it is very important that you go to someone who is a medical professional who's trained and knows what they're doing with this. And the other point that you should know is that there are counterfeit products out there. Some people are purchasing these products from overseas through illegitimate sources, and that's where you really have to be aware that you could end up with, in the worst case scenario, a dose that's too much and could cause serious health problems, or in most cases you're getting something that's fake and you just waste a lot of money. So those are some points that you need to know about Botox, Dysport, and Xeomin. If you have any other questions, you can always make a consultation with us. Give us a call, 201-368-3800. Thank you for listening.